In this example, we're going to learn how to create a pattern sequence. So first off, let's go ahead and press the pattern sequence button. It automatically switched us from patch to performance right here, so we don't have to do anything. It already went to the preset one. There's a lot of different pattern sequences you can use, but we want to go to a user. So we're going to go ahead and cursor over to the left, highlight preset, and we're going to switch it to user. Now we're going to go ahead and let's put it on user 01. So here we go, user 1. There are 16 parts available inside the Juno-DS, but when we're using the pattern sequencer, we only can use 8. Okay, so it's just a pattern sequencer. We can record up to 1, 2, 4, or 8 measures. It's just a great way to kind of get our ideas down, or just to kind of jam along, just have some fun real quick. So let's go ahead and go through the different parts, and you can see I have 1 through 8 right here. I'm going to go ahead and start choosing sounds that we're going to use inside our pattern sequence. So let's go ahead and maybe start with number 2, which typically traditionally has been bass. So I'm going to go ahead and press the bass section here, and I'm going to press enter, and I'm going to use the Gaia A-1 bass, which sounds like this. That's cool. That'll totally work. Now let's go to number 3, and maybe I'll go to my synth section and press enter. And if you go ahead and press enter, there's a whole bunch of different synths. I'm going to use the Super Saw. That's great. And let's go ahead and let's do now the 8, which will be the kit. It gave us a pop kit, but since we did a synth bass and kind of a Super Saw, let's press enter and change that to maybe an EDM style of kit. That's great. So we have it pretty much set to go, and then maybe we'll put in number 1. We can go ahead and choose another synth and maybe just make that one a lead. So we're pretty much ready to go now. So I'll press number 8. I might want to start with drums. Now all I have to do is decide on the pattern length, and for our example, I'll just do 1 measure. Great. And so that's going to work. So I'll go ahead and just unselect that, so we're 1 measure. And now check this out. Here is a rhythm pattern first loop record, which means if I press the rhythm pattern, you'll see I have a lot of different rhythm patterns to choose from. Just spin the dial wheel, and there's a whole bunch of fun ones to choose from, because maybe I'm not the best at making kind of an EDM type of sound. Let's go ahead and see what we can do right here. Maybe we'll do like this trance, and we just press the pads. That's great. I'm going to use number 2, nice and simple. So let's go ahead and exit out of there, and I'm going to turn that on right here. Okay, so when I record on the first time through the loop, it's going to record those drums with whatever I'm playing. So that's good. Let's go ahead and record maybe with the bass. And it's going to be just a 1 measure thing, and I might not be sure what to play. Let's go ahead and use arpeggio. Turn that on. So I might use that. Maybe change the grid resolution. Maybe I'll go in and change it to an 1/8 note. You know. So we have that set to go. I think we're pretty much ready here, so I'll go ahead and exit there. Quantize is on to the 16th note. Now I just need to decide the count in. Do I want to go ahead and have 1 measure, 2 measure, wait note, or no count in? So let's go ahead, for our example, we'll do 1 measure. Press the enter button and press record. And it's not going to start recording until I press play. It's going to give us 1 measure once I press the play button. And let's try it. So make sure everything's set. Record pattern first loop record is on. Quantize is on. It's 1 measure. And let's see what happens. Here we go. So we got 1 measure as soon as I press play. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that quickly, I just recorded a rhythm pattern. Very fast. Now let's record maybe that synth on top. But once again, I'm not sure what to play. I can play whatever. Or I'll go ahead and use my arpeggio again. But this time, make sure it's on part number 3. So that matches here. Maybe I want to switch it up, change it from that basic to maybe a sequence pattern. Maybe let's go ahead and change that to a 16th note. Now right now it's just going up. How about up and down? Let's left, low, and high. So we can tell it how we want it to do. Let's go ahead and see what phrase does. So as you can see, a lot of different interesting options right here. Now I'll go ahead and just keep it on up, low, and high, and we should be ready. I'm going to press record and give myself one measure. Remember, I played G, so let's go ahead and try it. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I just recorded part 3 very quickly. And now let's go ahead and do another one more. Let's go to a synth again. And let me get out of arpeggio. We're going to go to, make sure I'm part 4, the synth area. And let's see what else we can have going. Let's try that one for a little bit of an effect. All right, so that's good. Let's press record. We're going to give ourselves one measure count in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let's have some fun now, and let's go ahead and mute some of these so we can hear. Before we do that, let's check out the mixer section. So I'm gonna press play, and maybe some of those are a little loud. So remember, my bass is on number 2. I have that synth sound on number 3, that little effect on 4, and the drums are 8. So let's go ahead and press play. I'm gonna go ahead and start turning stuff down in the mix. Maybe start off with that bass. Very quick, just using that mixer screen, just right there. And now let's go ahead and have some more fun. And I'm going to press play, but now I'm going to use the mute section. So press play, and I can mute the different parts. Let's mute that number 4, bring the bass back in. Let's bring the synth part back in. Let's take off mute, and now maybe I want to play bass. Bring the bass back in. Bring that little effect in. Let's mute the synth. And there it is right there. Very, very quick, very easily. I got my analog lead now. Let's bring everybody back in. So as you see, laying down the different pattern sequences inside the Juno-DS is very easy. Now, what if I wanted to save? All right, let's go ahead and save. So I'm going to press the right button, and I might want to go ahead and name it. Now if I press the menu button over here, I can choose whether I want to insert or delete what's there. So I'm going to just delete those characters right here, and I might just call this, now that I have that, I'll exit, and I just might call this just DS1. So now I have it, press enter, and now I can choose where I want to put it. So I can actually save this pattern sequence anywhere I want, and then I can use it in different performances. Okay, so I'm going to just put it in, let's put it in number 10, so that we do it someplace different. So now enter, it says are you sure, and I just hit the cursor to go to OK, and yes, I'm sure, press enter, and now we're set. So I can use that particular pattern sequence in any performance. Now if I wanted to bring up this specific performance for this pattern sequence, now let's go ahead and press menu again, and I'm going to go ahead and go to pattern utility, and I'm going to go ahead and cursor down and save as a performance. So this will lock this particular pattern sequence to this performance. So it's going to save the sounds as well, so I can always call it up. And I'm going to go ahead and do it on, let's go ahead and user 5. Okay, enter, I am sure, yes, okay, that's great. So it just saved that right there. And let's go ahead and exit out of here. And if we look right over here in patch of performance, user number 5, oops, that's preset. Here we go. User number 5 is DS1. So those are the sounds that I used for that. So you see, I use my analog lead. Here's my Gaia. Here is my super sauce, and that dirty beat sound. And of course, here's my, well, that'll come on when I press it. Now, if I go ahead and press pattern sequence, that pattern sequence is loaded. So I'll take off the mute, press play. And just to test that, let's go ahead and choose a different, let's go to a different user. Great. I'm going to go to a different pattern sequence. Great. Press that. Something completely different. And now let's go ahead and see if that works. Pull it up. And I think that one was in number 10. And let's go ahead and press play.